The Life of Jinora. Jinora is the first child and elder daughter of Tenzin and Pema, and granddaughter of Katara and the late Avatar Aang. She lives on Air Temple Island with her parents and three younger siblings, Ikki, Meelo, and Rohan. Possessed of an avid interest in books and quiet in general, Jinora is the youngest known airbending master and has a natural affinity with spirits. Prior to the reopening of the spirit portals, she was the only of a handful of humans who could communicate with and perceive spirits in the physical world. As a result, she became Avatar Korra's guide into the spirit world. Sometime after 171 AG, she entered a romantic relationship with Kai. Welcome to the Amagi. In today's video, we're going over the life of Jinora. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. But first, I want to thank Surfshark VPN for sponsoring today's video. Surfshark strives to make your digital experience as smooth and relaxing as possible by taking care of all your needs. Not only does it protect you from ID tracking and encrypting your personal data and informing you whenever your email address or password is compromised, but it also makes sure that third-party sites cannot scam you with higher prices, or that you get flooded with ads, which can be really nasty if all you want to do is play a game or watch a movie. And get this, Surfshark VPN grants you access to your favorite content on any known streaming service from wherever you are. Plus, you can use it on any device you like, be it on just one or more devices. And you have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Go to surfshark.deals/Amagi and enter the promo code AMAGI to secure your new VPN and get 83% off with 3 extra months for free, and experience a relaxing time of binge watching your favorite shows or movies during quarantine with guaranteed security as a bonus. Early life. Jinora was born to Tenzin and Pema in 160 AG on Air Temple Island. She grew up as one of only 2 airbenders in the world until she was later joined by a sister, Ikki, when she was 3, and a brother, Meelo, when she was 5. Korra's training. During the fall of 170 AG, Jinora and her family traveled on Ugi to the Southern Water Tribe compound to meet Korra, who was due to start her airbending training with Tenzin. Once they arrived, Jinora happily greeted her grandmother, Katara, and told her she had been reading all about her old adventures and had been dying to ask her what happened to Zuko's mother. Katara began to explain, calling it an incredible tale, but was interrupted by Ikki, which greatly annoyed Jinora. The next day, the 10-year-old and her family had to leave the South Pole to return to Air Temple Island, as Tenzin had only come to inform Korra about his duties in Republic City, which made it impossible for him and his family to stay at the compound. After Avatar Korra ran away from her compound and traveled to Republic City, she finally convinced Tenzin to allow her to stay on his island so that he could teach her airbending. At this decision, Jinora and her siblings excitedly hugged Korra, celebrating her stay. When Korra began her training, Jinora demonstrated the proper way to navigate through the spinning gates before speeding them up with a blast of air. She tried to offer advice to the Avatar, but ultimately Korra failed to make it to the other side. After destroying the training relic in a fit of frustration, the Avatar snapped at Tenzin, calling him a bad teacher and storming away. Jinora and Ikki responded by hugging and comforting their father as their little brother kicked around the charred and splintered remnants of the gates, mimicking Korra. At dinner that night, Jinora was reading a book when a frustrated Tenzin demanded that his children promise him that they would not grow into hot-headed teenagers like Korra, to which Jinora emotionlessly replied that she would make no such promises and continued to read her book. While helping Korra out in her airbending training, she and Ikki asked her about her personal feelings toward the approaching Mako, which prompted the embarrassed Avatar to launch them into the air with earthbending, though the girls used airbending to land gently, giggling afterward. Jinora sat quietly at her family's dinner table as Councilman Tarlok entered and offered Korra to join his task force. Along with her family, Jinora later attended the party Tarlok threw in honor of Korra. After delivering fruits for the ring-tailed winged lemurs to eat, Jinora pressed Korra if she pursued her potential feelings for Mako, observing that they were spending a lot of time together. While Korra hurriedly denied this, she asked what she could do, pretending for a second she was interested in him. Jinora gave Korra advice on how to approach Mako based on a historical saga she had read, namely how the heroine, while riding a dragon, burned down the entire country and jumped into a volcano. After Ikki's advice involving a love potion, the Avatar was more inclined to take Jinora's suggestion, believing that it made more sense. They were interrupted by an amused Pema who had overheard their conversation. Jinora and her sister were surprised to learn that their father was in love with someone else before their mother. After Pema told them what she did to win Tenzin's heart, all three girls thought Pema's advice was the best alternative. When Mako, Bolin, and Asami arrived on the island, she welcomed them and shared facts about the fire ferret species. She later showed Mako and Bolin to the boys' quarters. The Anti-Bending Revolution. When the island was attacked by Equalists, Jinora, along with Iki and Milo, battled the Equalists and successfully took them down after Lin Beifong was briefly incapacitated by the lieutenant, all three showing impressive bending skills. Jinora was the first to attack, flying down into the midst of the Equalists using her glider and shouting at the chi blockers to stay away from her dad's ex-girlfriend. After the battle, Jinora and her siblings met their new baby brother. Jinora was curious if her parents had chosen a name yet, and if not, could she name him? Her parents told the kids that their brother's name was Rohan. Soon enough, more Equalist airships started invading the island, so Jinora and her family tried to flee Air Temple Island to a safer location in order to protect the last airbenders. However, Jinora and the rest of her family were captured by Amon, who intended to publicly remove their bending and destroy the last airbenders at a rally in the pro-bending arena. Avatar Korra and Mako swiftly came to their aid, and Korra led Jinora and the rest of her family out into the hallways of the pro-bending arena. Tenzin led the children to find Pema and Rohan, while Korra and Mako defeated Amon. Once Republic City was safe again, Jinora returned to Air Temple Island with her family. She witnessed her boisterous uncle Bumi enter the harbor with the rest of the United Forces, much to Iki's enjoyment and Tenzin's embarrassment. Jinora traveled with her family, as well as the rest of Avatar Korra's friends and family, to the Southern Water Tribe to have Katara attempt to restore Korra's bending. When Katara was unable to heal Korra, Jinora stood by her family, who tried to tell her it would be alright. Jinora witnessed Korra using energy bending to restore Lin's earth bending, and watched Tenzin praise Korra for her accomplishments as the Avatar. Journey to the Air Temples. 6 months after the revolution, Jinora competed with Iki, Milo, and Korra in an air scooter race, coming in third behind her sister in the Avatar. She later traveled with her family to the Southern Water Tribe for the Glacier Spirits Festival. Following Korra's decision to pursue spiritual training with Unalaq, Jinora left with Tenzin and the rest of her family to visit the Southern Air Temple. There, Jinora was fascinated upon entering the sanctuary, which is filled with statues of the past avatars, and became even more amazed after seeing her grandfather's statue. Coinciding with Korra's mission in the South Pole to open its spirit portal, Jinora awoke in the middle of the night because of an unknown force that led her back to the sanctuary. While there, she discovered an interesting figure of Avatar Wan, whose statue was different from the others. As Korra's mission succeeded, the statue illuminated, amazing Jinora. While playing air scooter with Milo, their mother realized Iki was not with them and asked about her whereabouts. After initially pretending she did not know Iki, she admitted to teasing her sister, causing Iki to run away. The next day, after her father returned with Iki, Jinora apologized to her sister for teasing her. After Iki readily accepted the apology, the siblings ran off to play a game of airball. A few days later, she witnessed in awe as Milo orchestrated a ring-tailed winged lemur air show. Guiding Korra. When their family vacation took Jinora to the Eastern Air Temple, she met and befriended several dragonfly bunny spirits that resided there, one of which she named Furryfoot. Since she was the only one who could see them, she covered up her playtime with the spirits as playing with imaginary friends when her father came to get her to start a tour of the temple. However, before they could embark on their trip, Korra arrived at the temple, pleasantly surprising everyone. Jinora excitedly ran up to the Avatar to greet and hug her. However, as Korra brought the family up to speed with current events they had missed due to their vacation, Jinora just stared at her in shock. After it became apparent that Korra needed to cross over to the spirit world, Jinora tagged along to several locations where she witnessed Korra and Tenzin meditating in unsuccessful attempts to cross over. As they were moving on from their second location, Jinora got distracted by the presence of her spirit friends. The spirits flew away into the thicket, prompting the young airbender to call after them to return. When Kaya asked whom she was chasing, Jinora evaded the question and ran after her father and Korra, leaving Kaya to her own suspicions. Having returned to the air temple, Jinora was shocked to hear her father's confession that he had never been to the spirit world before. When Korra emphasized her urgency to get to the spirit world, Jinora was pushed by Kaya to reveal her secret, namely that she had been conversing with spirits and as such, knew where Korra needed to go in order to enter the spirit world. To prove her claim, Jinora told her spirit friends that it was alright to reveal themselves, earning herself amazed praise from her family. As they followed the spirits down to the lower areas of the temple, Jinora confided in her aunt that she believed her father was mad at her, though Kaya reassured her that Tenzin was not mad at her, but was merely suffering from a bruised ego. Korra complimented Jinora's ability with spirits, but she stated it was nothing compared to having met the first Avatar. When Jinora learned that the Avatar is part spirit due to their connection with Rava, she realized why she had been drawn to Wan's statue at the Southern Air Temple during the winter solstice, though the coincidental timing of her actions with Korra's opening of the Southern Spirit Portal awed both girls. The group followed the Dragonfly Bunny spirits to an ancient meditation circle. Jinora noted that the place held a lot of spiritual energy, though it had been corrupted. She witnessed Tenzin perform a cleansing ceremony. However, the ritual drew out a swarm of bat-like dark spirits that promptly attacked them. Jinora was protected by Kaya until Korra used Unalaq's spirit-bending technique to calm the spirits down. Jinora spent the remainder of the day waiting with the others, while Tenzin attempted to cross over to the spirit world through meditation. After several failures, Kaya pointed out that it was Jinora's destiny to guide Korra into the spirit world. Although Tenzin deemed it too dangerous for her, Jinora managed to convince her father that she could do it. After sharing a brief hug and hearing that her father was proud of her, Jinora and Korra sat down in lotus position opposite from one another. They meditated until Korra's eyes started to glow white and they both crossed over to the spirit world. Awestruck by the appearance of the spirit world, Jinora ran off to chase a butterfly spirit, commenting that it looked like it was made of jewels. When Korra called for her help as she was being attacked by meerkat spirits, Jinora turned back and urged the distressed Avatar to remain calm, as it was her energy that was upsetting the spirits. However, Jinora was unable to free Korra from the spirits' hold, and as the meerkat spirits began to run around them, they were both sucked through the ground. They were dropped into the water on another location, where they were instantly swallowed by another spirit who transported them to a rapidly moving stream. As they approached a fork in the water, Jinora was pushed in another direction as Korra ended up on another grassy location. All alone and unable to determine her whereabouts, she called out for help. When Furryfoot came to her aid, she excitedly greeted him and asked him if he knew where Korra had ended up. The spirit purred and offered Jinora to ride on his back, a suggestion that she readily accepted. As they approached Wan Shi Tong's library, Jinora initially mistook it for being an elaborate treehouse, though soon recognized the building for what it truly was since her grandfather used to frequent it. Inside this library, Jinora gazed around in awe, remarking that she could stay there forever reading. However, she was greeted by a hostile Wan Shi Tong who no longer allowed humans in his library and demanded her to leave. Jinora reminded Wan Shi Tong of the rule that whoever offered some new knowledge for the library's collection was permitted to enter. The owl spirit brushed aside her objections, saying it was an old rule, and doubted the possibility that Jinora knew something he did not. The young airbender explained the inner workings of the radio, correcting the information Wan Shi Tong had received from one of his knowledge seekers. Although he acknowledged Jinora's information, he still refused her access and demanded her once more to leave. However, when Jinora announced herself to be the granddaughter of Avatar Aang and the companion of Avatar Korra, she was permitted access to the library, though also received the warning not to break anything. She immediately searched the library's vast collection for information on the spirit portal's locations, though to no avail. Growing restless, she asked a nearby knowledge seeker for help, who instantly brought her a book about the Tree of Time. Armed with the knowledge of the portal's locations, as well as the dire consequences that would befall the mortal world if Vaatu would ever be freed, Jinora wanted to continue her journey, but found herself thwarted by Wan Shi Tong and Unalaq. She was apprehended by Furryfoot, who had turned dark, and taken to Vaatu at the Tree of Time. Detained by Unalaq's spirit bending, a move that threatened to destroy her soul if it was to be completed, Jinora was used to coerce Korra into opening the northern spirit portal. Although distressed, the young airbender told Korra not to open the portal, but found herself silenced by Unalaq's dark spiritual technique. When Korra relented, Jinora was released and put into the care of Furryfoot, who took off with her as soon as the portal was opened, and a battle ensued between Korra and Unalaq, preventing her from returning to her body in the physical world. Trapped in the spirit world. For almost a week, Kaya used her healing abilities to keep the energy in Jinora's body flowing, though her life force was slowly leaving the young airbender, placing her in mortal danger. While her body was taken care of by her aunt and grandmother, Janora's spirit was taken to the Fog of Lost Souls, where she wandered aimlessly, until the fog spirit infected her mind and trapped her within her own darkest memory. Janora stayed there until she was found by her father and led out of the valley, where the fog spirit resided. As they left the fog, she regained consciousness, expressing her relief over seeing her father again. As they were heading toward the spirit portal to exit the spirit world, Janora sensed the demise of Rava and the repercussions of her disappearance for the world. Knowing Korra needed her help, she gave her father a butterfly light spirit, stating it would guide them out of the spirit world before departing herself. A spiritual projection of Janora appeared during the battle between Korra's spiritual projection and the fusion of Unalaq and Vaatu, known as the Dark Avatar. Surrounded by light, Janora's spirit, also empowered by the convergence, brought Rava back to the world by casting a bright light over the Dark Avatar, interrupting his attempted corruption of Korra's projection and allowing Korra to extract Rava before purifying the Dark Avatar. After the battle was over, Janora's spirit was brought back to the spirit world by Korra's spiritual form, where she told her father that she would see him soon. Her spirit faded and returned to her physical body, which was resting at the White Lotus compound. She lovingly hugged her grandmother, stating that she had missed her, and told Asami, Tonraq, and Senna that they did not need to worry, as Korra had saved the world. Janora later stood by her friends and family as Korra declared the Water Tribe civil war to be over and the Southern Water Tribe independent. She happily and proudly listened when Korra announced that there would no longer be a separation between the mortal and spirit world, making the start of a new age where humans and spirits coexisted. Helping Korra regain her bending. Shortly after the Unalaq crisis, Janora accompanied her family on a trip to the Southern Water Tribe. On the way back home, however, she sensed that Korra was in trouble and sent a spiritual projection of herself ahead to discover that Korra had lost her bending due to being shot by special Equalist darts. To help the Avatar regain her water bending, Janora suggested Korra find spirit water in some of the jars on Air Temple Island. While Korra later battled some mecha tanks, Janora reappeared to her friend and advised her to stand her ground in order to regain her earthbending abilities. After Korra successfully followed her advice, Janora proceeded to tell the Avatar that she might be able to find the answers she was looking for in regards to the disappearance of her bending in the spirit world, which Korra agreed with. Janora appeared to Korra again at the South Pole while the latter was battling a Triple Threat Triad member and several Equalists. She told her that attacking with anger could help her recover her firebending abilities. Soon after, she reminded Korra about her airbending training with the spinning gates to help her regain her airbending abilities. While dark spirits attacked Korra, Janora appeared again to tell her that the old man she had encountered a while back was the one controlling the spirits. When Korra confronted him, though was on the brink of being overwhelmed by several dark spirits, Janora helped her to activate the Avatar state by guiding her to let everything around her go. After Korra had defeated Hundan, Janora congratulated her. When Korra sadly noted that she had to answer for things that happened a long time ago, the young airbender consoled her, pointing out that facing the White Falls Wolfbats in the finals of the Pro Bending Tournament would be easy, which made the Avatar smile. Post-harmonic convergence. In the weeks following harmonic convergence, however, the integration of spirits and humans began to have disastrous consequences, with Republic City becoming infested with spirit vines that damaged infrastructure and caused widespread dissatisfaction among the citizens. Despite the ire of the public at Korra's decision to leave the spirit portals open, Janora continued to express happiness at the new coexistence. That night, Janora was amazed when she saw her Uncle Bumi airbend. When reports began emerging of people throughout the Earth Kingdom suddenly acquiring the ability to airbend, Janora accompanied Korra and her allies on a quest to recruit the new airbenders in the hope of reinstating the air nomad culture. In one village, the team met Kai, a young orphan boy who had recently discovered his airbending ability. Early into his acceptance by the team, Janora expressed romantic feelings for Kai, blushing in his presence and offering to teach him the airbending moves she knew. At Ba Sing Se. After the group found out that Earth Queen Huting was conscripting Ba Sing Se's airbenders into her own personal army, Janora grew worried that Kai was among the captives. Korra assured Janora that they would find him, it was just a matter of where to look. Upon Mako's suggesting of Lake Laogai as a potential holding place, Janora suggested that she could get into the underground base using her spiritual projection. The group made their way to Lake Laogai on Ugi, and Janora meditated at the shore, Tenzin advising her to return to her mortal form if anything went wrong. Upon projecting herself into the base, the young airbender found it to be abandoned and flooded long ago. When Korra asked Jinora where the airbenders could be, she began to list a number of possibilities, but her father noted that there were too many for them to be able to search all of them in time. The Avatar followed up by asking her how she found her during harmonic convergence, which Jinora believed was because of their spiritual connection. As Korra suggested that the airbenders may have a connection, Jinora attempted to focus on it to find Kai. The search led her to the prison hold and into a small cell where the Dai Li was holding Kai. Happy to see him again, Jinora explained to Kai her method of finding him and asked where exactly they were before assuring him they would all be freed. Before leaving, Jinora was thanked by Kai, causing the young airbender to blush slightly. Upon reaching back above ground, she realized that the prison hold was under the Earth Queen's temple. Back at their home, Team Avatar discussed how they could break the airbenders out when they were surprisingly joined by Lin, who had initially come to warn Korra of the escape of 4 dangerous criminals. That night, the group put their plan into motion. Jinora approached 2 Royal Earthbender guards, who believed she had come alone, only for her to point out that she was with the rest of the group. After overpowering the guards, they made their way to the airbenders' hold, avoiding Dai Li agents along the way. Jinora went with Bolin and Mako to find Kai at Tenzin's suggestion. When the 3 found his cell, Jinora ran to Kai, embracing him and kissing him on the cheek, before urging them all to move out. Shortly after they started to escape, however, they found themselves confronted by 3 Dai Li agents, including the sergeant, who declared that they were committing high treason, a crime punishable by death. During the ensuing battle, Jinora was captured by the sergeant's rock gloves, but was promptly freed by Kai. The 4 ran out of the prison hold while having to dodge further attacks by the Dai Li. Bolin soon launched them onto Oogie with an earth pillar, enabling them to escape safely. The next morning, Jinora joined her father and the freed airbenders as they all left for the Northern Air Temple. Training the new airbenders. At the Northern Air Temple, Jinora watched as Tenzin tried in vain to tell the airbenders about the story of monk Tangshu. She laughed at Bumi's mocking of the classes with Bumju, earning her a glare from her father and prompting her to stop. Later, as Jinora and Kai watched a herd of wild bison, she was unsure of his suggestion to go down and try to ride them. However, she was convinced upon being told no one was around and that they could get back before anyone spotted them. Jinora told a confused Kai that they could not fly for a couple of weeks after their birth and would thus stay close to the ground. When Kai made his way down to the babies, she warned him that their mothers were protective. Seeing a mother charge toward Kai, Jinora quickly swept in on her glider and got him away from danger. After settling, Jinora was told she was an incredible airbender, to which she remarked that she had been training for a while. Upon his questioning as to why she did not have her tattoos, she informed Kai that Tenzin believed she was not a master. She was further encouraged by Kai saying that she could do everything her dad could do in addition to having spiritual powers. She blushed at his suggestion of her being a master. The next morning, Jinora joined Tenzin as he led the airbenders on a 10-mile hike. During a balancing drill, she expressed her worries that he may have been too hard on them, but was dismissed. While Tenzin was talking about how airbenders shave their heads, Kai sneaked over to Jinora, asking her if she wanted to see the baby bison again, but she shushed him, advising him to watch. Before the obstacle course, the young airbender approached her father with her earlier concerns about pushing them too hard, but she was simply told everything was under control, concerning and annoying her. After Tenzin's frustrations boiled over during the obstacle course, he told Jinora to take over the lessons. Because she had been designated a master, she asked Tenzin if she could get her tattoos. When asked what brought that on, she explained how she had talked to Kai about it, but was told no because she was a little girl. Jinora protested, saying she was just as good as him at airbending, knew all about their culture and history, and had a stronger spiritual connection. She stormed away and told him to lead his own class. She made her way to a temple overlook, where she was approached by an apologetic Kai. Jinora assured him that Tenzin's outburst was not his fault, while lamenting her father's lack of belief in her. At Kai's suggestion, they returned to the forest, but realized no spirits nor bison were to be found. They soon found themselves captured by bison rustlers and taken to their camp. Jinora listened in fear as their leader declared that they would be sent to Ba Sing Se with the baby bison. Locked in a cage on board a truck with one of them, she demanded to know how the rustlers could steal the bison because of their endangered status. Upon being told that they sold them to the Earth Queen as meat, Jinora called the leader, Ganbat, disgusting. Kai suggested she try using her spiritual projection technique, but she was not sure if she could because of the small space she was in and also lacking time and peace. She instead tried sending a message, she got a small bird spirit to appear before her and relay their situation on to Boomju. Kai got himself out, but Jinora told him to free the bison first. The camp was soon swarmed by Bumi and the Airbenders, but Jinora was still trapped as Ganbat fled with the truck, leaving her to call for help. Kai pursued while Tenzin heard her cries while flying aboard Ugi. The truck was eventually stopped by the combined efforts of Tenzin, Kai, and the adult bison, allowing for Jinora to be freed. That evening, Jinora and Kai were playing with an adult bison. She was licked by it. Once Tenzin approached them, she hugged her dad and apologized for running off. Being told by him that he was too rough on her, she asked if she could get her tattoos. She was promised he would think about it. Jinora agreed to the deal before, at Kai's call, taking notice of the baby bison in flight. The Red Lotus attacks. When the Red Lotus arrived at the Northern Air Temple, Jinora went with her family in an attempt to evacuate, but were intercepted by Zahir, who forced them and the other airbenders into the temple's courtyard, where they were told they would be released as long as they cooperated. When Tenzin threw back Zahir, Ghazan, and Minghua with a blast of air, Jinora was ordered to lead the airbenders to the Sky Bison stables for evacuation while staying out of Poli's line of fire lest they be bombarded by a combustion attack. Soon, however, Jinora and the group found themselves trapped in a hallway because the last part of the way to the stables was over open ground, making them easy targets for Poli. While Kai took Daw's glider and distracted the firebender, Jinora and the others made a run for the stables. When she heard an explosion, however, she stopped running and turned around, screaming for Kai with tears in her eyes upon seeing him fall out of the sky. She was subsequently trapped at the stables as the combustion attacks had scared off the bison, leaving everyone at Poli's mercy. Jinora and the other residents of the temple were taken to a cave complex located in the vicinity of the temple. Tied to the floor by platinum chains, she and the other captives were guarded by 2 Red Lotus sentries. In an attempt to find a way to escape, she used her astral projection technique to scour the area, though was unable to find help as she discovered that Korra had been captured by the Red Lotus as well. However, they managed to procure the keys to their shackles when Pema asked the guard for some water, enabling Jinora to bend his robes up and free the keys, which were safeguarded by Opal. The guards discovered their endeavor, though before they could do something, they were taken out by Team Avatar, who had come to rescue them. Jinora was relieved when she saw Kai was among them and immediately gave him a warm hug and an affectionate nudge against his shoulder. When Tonrak stated he was going to search for Korra, Jinora became serious again and revealed that she knew the exact location of the Avatar's whereabouts, enabling Tonrak, Mako, and Bolin to find her. As all the captives made their way outside the caves, Jinora warmly hugged her father, relieved that he was okay after his battle with the Red Lotus. When the people around her were awestruck by Zahir's newly unlocked ability to fly, Jinora kept her head cool and realized they had powers in numbers, as it had been a long time since there had been so many airbenders in one place. She promptly gathered everyone to stand in a circle and follow her lead, creating a powerful tornado that trapped Zahir in it, enabling Korra to grab hold of him and slam him down on the rocks. When Korra collapsed soon after, due to having been exposed too long to the Red Lotus poison, Jinora spurred Suyin to action upon revealing that the poison was metal-based. 2 weeks later, after they had returned to Air Temple Island, Jinora's head was shaved and she received her mastery tattoos, becoming the youngest airbender in history to receive the honor. At a ceremony attended by a number of dignitaries, including President Raiko, Lord Zuko, and Chief Beifong, she was anointed as an airbending master, with Tenzin proclaiming that she would help lead the Air Nation in their new path, bringing balance and peace to the world. After the ceremony, Jinora headed toward the docks with Tenzin, Asami, Mako, and Bolin to say goodbye to Korra, who was set to board a ship heading toward the Southern Water Tribe. She stood by her father when he urged Korra not to worry about anything other than her recovery, emphasizing that he, Jinora, and the airbenders had everything under control. As the ship departed, she waved them off. 174 AG. At some point between the 3 years, Jinora began a romantic relationship with Kai. Together with her family, Jinora attended the grand reopening of Republic City's Central City Station, where she listened to President Raiko's speech and watched Asami cut the ribbon. Afterward, she returned to Air Temple Island together with her family, Prince Wu, Asami, Lin Beifong, Mako, and the presidential couple. During dinner, she fed Pabu, though when an air acolyte notified the gathered group of the arrival of a ship from the south, she stayed behind while everyone else met on the dock to meet Korra, who was scheduled to arrive. Jinora, Ikki, and Milo were later tasked by Tenzin to track down Korra and bring her to Republic City. Searching for Korra. The next day, Jinora and her two siblings prepared Pepper to leave on their quest. After she secured the big bag of food on the bison's saddle, Jinora jumped down to hug her father goodbye. As she released him, she told him that she had not yet been able to locate Korra by honing in on the Avatar's spiritual energy, though she was certain that she would be able to do so once they were on their way, claiming they should be able to track Korra down within a few days. She hugged her mother goodbye and seated herself atop Pepper's head, taking the reins. When her father reminded her siblings that she was in charge, Milo denounced her authority and ordered them all to move out, prompting Jinora to sigh at his antics and merely urge Pepper to take to the sky. Stopping at a stupa stop atop a mountain near a village, Jinora descended Pepper and sat down to meditate behind a small man-made structure. However, her concentration was constantly interrupted by Ikki, who kept talking to her. Irritated, Jinora sent her younger sister off to go play with some resident spirits and resumed her meditation. Upon overhearing her sister tell Milo that her spirit powers were broken, Jinora snapped at her siblings that she needed some quiet time to concentrate. She was unable to locate Korra, however, and the threesome continued on their quest. They eventually made their way to a small coastal fishing town, where a hopeful Jinora walked up to Milo after he had called on her and Ikki for having found Korra. She was disappointed upon realizing that the discovery was merely a photo of the Avatar. When the fishmonger told the siblings that he did not know where Korra had gone to after posing for his picture, Jinora was told by Milo to start pulling her weight during their mission. As her brother stormed off, Jinora was asked by her sister if she also recalled when Milo had been nice and sweet, though Jinora could not remember such a time. The siblings continued their search into the Earth Empire, where Jinora once again berated her siblings for raising too much ruckus, disturbing her concentration. Jinora retreated into the nearby woods, where she found a clearing with a moss-covered air nomad statue of an animal. She continued to meditate there until she was interrupted by a purple-mouthed, sickly-looking Milo and Poki. He offered her a bag filled with berries, which Jinora inspected and threw away after witnessing her brother and his pet throw up all the berries they had already consumed. Not having seen her sister in a while, she inquired if Milo had encountered her on his foraging trip. When Milo irritatedly commented that his mission was getting worse by the day as he now needed to find both the Avatar and Ikki, Jinora berated him for thinking about their quest as a solo mission, as they were supposed to find Korra as a family. Jinora and Milo found Ikki at an outpost of the military of the Earth Empire. Swiftly incapacitating the two soldiers with their bending, Jinora sternly urged her sister to hurry up and leave with them. Upon learning that Ikki had an idea about where Korra may be hiding, Jinora's sense of urgency to leave only increased. Jinora guided Pepper toward the foggy swamp, where she tried to make a spiritual connection with Korra. Although she acknowledged that she sensed plenty of spiritual activity in the swamp, she could not feel Korra, prompting her to side with Milo in that they should just bypass the swamp and continue their search elsewhere. As she urged Pepper to turn around, the bison was pulled down by the vines from the swamp, causing them to crash land in the murky waters below. When Ikki reasoned that the vines had forced them down because they needed to be there, Jinora continued to voice her skepticism, pointing out that she still could not sense the Avatar, though her sister refuted that argument by saying that Jinora had yet to sense Korra anywhere. While Ikki and Milo subsequently got into an argument with each other, Jinora suddenly felt Korra's presence and guided everyone toward the banyan grove tree. Discovering Korra at its base, the three siblings soared down and enveloped the Avatar in a hug. Upon being asked how they had been able to find her, they explained that they could not have found her without working together, as Ikki revealed that Jinora had sensed her energy, to which Jinora responded that she had only been able to do that due to Ikki guiding them to the swamp, which in turn had only been possible due to Milo driving Ikki away to find the soldiers who had helped her out. After being introduced to Toph Beifong, they implored Korra to return with them as she needed to stop Kuvira, who was taking over the Earth Kingdom. They all returned to Toph's dwelling, where the siblings witnessed Korra purifying herself from the residual traces of mercury in her body before departing with her on their journey home. The Fall of Zaofu. En route, Jinora asked Korra if she was certain she wanted to go to Zaofu, as Tenzin had wanted them to return to Republic City, though still she steered Pepper toward the home of the Metal Clan. Arriving, they found that Kuvira's army had already made camp at the gates, though they all managed to enter the city. That night, Jinora learned that Suyin, Wei, and Wing had left the city in order to stop Kuvira themselves and urged Korra to intervene. Her inquiry became moot, however, when Kuvira announced over the city's communication system that the three had been captured. When Opal told the Avatar she needed to break them out, Jinora reminded her fellow airbender that she could not turn to violence as she had sworn an oath of non-aggression upon becoming an airbender. Jinora planned to accompany Korra and Opal at dawn to try to reason with Kuvira, though when her siblings wanted to help as well, she told them to stay behind where they would be safe. At dawn, upon hearing Korra accept Kuvira's challenge to a duel, Jinora asked if Korra was truly ready to fight the Master Metalbender and urged her to be careful. Her worry did not lessen while watching the fight, as Korra was being tossed around and barraged by earth and metal-based attacks. Upon witnessing Korra fail to remain in the Avatar state, Jinora wondered what was troubling her friend, as they had gotten all the poison out of her system. When Kuvira exploited Korra's weakness and moved in to kill her, Jinora and Opal blew the army commander back with a powerful air blast. The intervention broke the peace treaty, however, and they were forced to create a large whirlwind to keep the incoming soldiers at bay. Jinora asked Opal to maintain the vortex while she used her astral projection ability to contact her siblings for help. As Milo and Ikki arrived on Pepper, Jinora helped Opal to carry Korra on the bison's saddle and ordered her brother to take them out of there. In the air, Jinora and Ikki latched onto Opal to prevent her from diving down and help her family. Captured by Spirit Vines. Weeks later, after their return to Air Temple Island, Jinora flew up to Korra and Opal to alert them of the strange surge of energy she had felt emanating from the spirit wilds. Convinced something was wrong, she led the other two women on an investigation through the wilds. Although their initial search proved to be futile, Jinora remained convinced that she had felt a disturbance, wondering if something had happened to Ryu and his tour group, as they should have encountered them. She asked Korra for confirmation in regards to the strangeness of the energy around them, and although the Avatar could not feel it, she did see through the vines that Kuvira was harvesting roots from the banyan grove tree. Jinora split from the others to continue her search for Ryu, while Korra and Opal headed to City Hall to alert the president about their discovery. Jinora eventually found a broken camera, though while she was examining the object, she noticed that one of the vines was creeping up on her and only narrowly managed to avoid being struck by using her airbending to propel herself onto a nearby roof. As more vines started to attack her, she took flight with her wingsuit, expertly maneuvering out of the way of the hostile vegetation. However, she could not outrun them completely and ended up being captured. As she was being constricted by the vines, Jinora locked onto Korra's energy and used her spiritual projection technique to alert the Avatar about her predicament. She could not maintain the connection for long, however, as she was dragged away and placed in a pod that preserved her body while trapping her soul in the spirit world. Her soul was eventually released from its confinement within a spherical force field by Korra, and as it returned to her body, the pod around her dissipated, leaving Jinora to groggily wake up in the spirit wilds, all covered in slime. She helped Ryu to guide all the tourists out of the wilds, where she found her father waiting for her. Warmly embracing him, Jinora told him that Korra had saved them all. Defending Republic City. After President Raiko ordered a mandatory evacuation of Republic City due to Kuvira's imminent attack, Jinora retreated to her room with her siblings except Rohan and Mother to prepare their suitcases. After talking it over with her family, however, they all decided to stay, reasoning that Republic City was their city and it was going to need all the help it could get. Sharing a family hug with her father after Pema alerted him of their decision, Tenzin told Jinora, Ikki, and Milo that they could help the other airbenders by monitoring the progress of the military of the Earth Empire from above. A week later, with the arrival of Kuvira's troops imminent, Jinora and the other airbenders gathered on rooftops from where they had an overview of the gathered United Forces troops and the direction from where Kuvira would arrive. She was shocked to see the approach of an enormous mecha suit, and after witnessing it destroy the United Forces battleships with the spirit energy cannon it carried, she retreated toward the Future Industries factory, where the Hummingbird mecha suits were being assembled. Jinora was chosen by Korra to be part of a stealth team of airbenders tasked with the kidnapping of Baatar Jr. While Korra, Tenzin, and Bumi infiltrated Kuvira's second-in-command's airship to apprehend him, she and Kai kept guard atop the vessel. They caught the sack containing a bound and gagged Baatar Jr. when the others airbented out of the hatch and they all returned to the Future Industries factory. She was forced to run for her life, however, when Kuvira traced Baatar Jr.'s radio call toward the factory and blew it up with her spirit energy cannon. Jinora managed to survive the explosion and emerge from the rubble with everyone else when Bolin lifted a large piece of concrete. While Asami and Varrick attempted to adapt the prototypes of the Hummingbird mecha suits in Asami's office to get them airborne, she and the other benders faced Kuvira and her army in an attempt to stop them, or at the very least slow them down. On Milo's urging, Jinora and the other airbenders equipped themselves with balloons filled with paint. Upon reaching the enormous mecha suit, they dropped the balloons on the suit's windows, momentarily obscuring its vision and enabling the earthbenders on the ground to tie down the suit's legs. As Bolin gave the signal, Jinora and the other airbenders blasted the suit with air currents in an attempt to topple it over. The suit managed to stabilize itself, however, forcing Jinora and the others to flee when Kuvira aimed her spirit cannon at them. After Jinora checked if her father was alright, they all retreated to Asami's office, where a new plan was formed. The Benders would relentlessly attack the mecha suit to distract Kuvira and enable the 2 Hummingbird mecha suits to land on the enormous machine and cut a hole in it without being crushed. When Kuvira aimed her cannon at Korra, Jinora, her airbending family, Kai, Daw, and another female airbender worked together to form a tornado in their wake and swoop down on the weaponized arm of the suit, knocking it out of balance and distorting its aim. While she soared away, however, she came within range of the cannon herself. At the last second, she was saved by Tenzin, though the proximity of the blast knocked them both unconscious and they plummeted down. Before she could fall on the ground, Jinora was saved by Ikki, who plucked her out of the sky and landed on a nearby roof. Ultimately, their diversion worked, and while Korra, Mako, Bolin, Lin, and Suyin managed to infiltrate the enormous suit, Jinora supported her father and made their way through the streets of the city with her siblings. Before they could reach a safe place, however, a wave of energy, caused by the firing of the spirit energy cannon inside Republic City's spirit wilds, bore down upon them and they were forced to flee inside the hall of a nearby building, where they all huddled down and Tenzin protected his children against the incoming smoke. As the smoke cleared out, Jinora supported her father once again and they made their way to the heart of the spirit wilds, where now a new spirit portal was located. Realizing Korra and Kuvira were nowhere to be found, Jinora, Team Avatar, and their allies set out to search the area for the Avatar. Jinora ventured into the wreckage of the enormous mecha suit, though sadly signaled Mako that there was no sign of Korra. She was surprised to see all the spirits return a moment later, and when Korra supported Kuvira while emerging from the spirit portal, she was happy to see her friend again. After Kuvira was handcuffed and escorted away, Jinora hugged Korra along with the rest of Team Avatar. Sitting between Ikki and Milo, Jinora later attended the wedding between Varrick and Zhu Li at Air Temple Island. Defending the Spirits. In the aftermath of Kuvira's defeat, Jinora led a group of airbenders in a meditation session at the New Republic City Spirit Portal. Their session was interrupted, however, by the appearance of Wanyang Kim and his construction workers, who threatened to call the police if they did not get off the land he had purchased. Refusing to leave, Jinora informed the businessman that the land was sacred as it belonged to the spirits. The heated discussion was interrupted by Korra and Asami's return from their vacation in the spirit world, and Jinora informed the two of Wanyang's attempts to get them to vacate the premises. When Wanyang asked for Korra's assistance to escort the airbenders off his property, Jinora informed her that the businessman's true intents were to turn the area into an amusement park and build a road so he could drive truckloads of tourists into the spirit world. The argument was interrupted by the Dragon Eel spirit, who asked Korra to close the portals lest she would be held accountable for the fate that befell the spirits. And Jinora smiled in support when Opal assured Korra that the airbenders were on her side and ready to help protect the portal. Jinora watched on in amusement as Korra, who had been threatened by Wanyang into leaving the premises, entered the Avatar state and intimidated the businessman into leaving himself, noting that she doubted he would return anytime soon. While Wanyang did not return, Jinora and the other airbenders were attacked at the portal by the Triple Threat Triad sometime later. Using her spiritual projection technique, Jinora contacted Team Avatar back on Air Temple Island and asked for help, as well as informing them of the presence of a young man fitting Toguka's description. Jinora continued to fight off the triple threats, and the battle came to a quick end when Team Avatar, and much to her surprise, several angry spirits arrived and drove away the triple threats. As the chaos died down, Jinora was shocked to see Korra and Asami sharing a kiss. When Asami confirmed that she and Korra were now a couple, Jinora told them that it was wonderful, happy about their relationship. Jinora, her family, and some other members of the New Air Nation accompanied Korra on her trip to negotiate with the spirits and encouraged them that she was still on their side. However, as the airbenders and Korra flew into the spirit portal on Ugi's back, they realized that a massive amount of the land around the portal had been destroyed. Korra was surprised, saying that the land had not been destroyed when she had been here only briefly before on her trip with Asami. Kai questioned aloud who had been strong enough to destroy the spirits realm, and Jinora, meditating on the floor, replied that it could only have been the spirits themselves. Korra said that they had probably done it to protect themselves and as a warning. When Ikki touched a small dead flower, the flower sprung up long stems with thorns which began attacking the airbenders, and Jinora grabbed a glider and swooped in to save Kai. The airbenders and Korra hopped onto Oogie, and they all flew out of the portal together. However, as they left, they noticed General Iroh and the United Forces entering the grounds around the spirit portal and setting up a metal barricade. Korra demanded that the troops withdraw, to which Iroh responded that he only sought peace. Tenzin responded that if that was his desire, he should leave the portal to the Air Nation. Iroh considered the idea, then disagreed, saying he had his orders, and if they had any issues to take it up with President Raiko. As Jinora and her family had dinner that night, Jinora angrily remarked that the United Forces had no right to be occupying the land around the portal. While Tenzin and Pema suggested that the group wait Raiko out until he changed his mind or was voted out of office, Jinora protested, saying that that would involve waiting too long and they needed to act immediately. Milo agreed and suggested that they march on the portal, an idea Tenzin agreed with, and concretized as a peace march, which Jinora enthusiastically offered to participate in. Jinora and the rest of the Air Nation spent the next day protesting the spirit portal's occupation. After hours of protesting, Raiko and the United Forces came in as Raiko commanded waterbenders to directly hose the airbenders down. Jinora was among several of the protesters who was hit with a hose, and she stood behind Tenzin, who covered her with his arms to protect her, telling the airbenders not to retaliate no matter what. Jinora coughed as the waterbenders led up, and Tenzin warned the others of what may be coming next. The barricade around the spirit portal was broken by Zhu Li, her film crew, and other protesters there to support the airbenders. The protesters all then began to chant together, demanding that the portal be left in peace and in the public's hands. During the protest, Toguka flew an airship across the portal, demanding that the United Forces leave, with the threat of poison gas. Jinora and the other airbenders helped the civilians evacuate from the portal area. After the civilians left, Jinora and the airbenders began to bend the air around the poison gas in order to contain it so that the civilians within Republic City would be safe. 3 weeks later, Jinora attended a party for the announcement of the results of the presidential election. When Zhu Li was announced as the winner, Jinora, her family, and the other members of the new Air Nation stood together as they listened to Zhu Li's acceptance speech. Did you enjoy our video? Be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.